Half like lasagna and half like shepherd's pie, moussaka is 100% a dynamite dish. Savory mince over roasted eggplants, all topped with a luscious bechamel sauce. This Greek casserole will win you over in one bite. Alright, to kick things off, we're going to grab about 2 pounds of nice, firm, medium-sized eggplant. Should be 2 to 3 depending on their size. And we'll go ahead and slice those down into roughly 1/3 inch planks, just like that. Then go ahead and lay them out on a baking tray, cover with salt, not cover, but you know what I mean. Season them and set them aside. We're going to draw some moisture out of them. In the meantime, we'll make a nice mince filling. So we'll add 1 medium onion that's been diced into a skillet along with some olive oil, some salt and pepper, and about 3 crushed cloves of garlic. Go ahead and saute that for 3 to 4 minutes, or until those onions are just starting to soften. At which point we're going to add in 2 types of meat. I've got 1 pound of ground lamb. You could use all beef if you want, but I like a mixture. The other ½ pound, that is just some nice lean 93.7 ground beef. We'll of course season that with salt and pepper as well, and crumble it up and cook it. Should take you about 3 to 4 minutes, or until most of the fat is rendered and the meat is mostly cooked through. At this point, we're going to get in there with some spices, including some dried oregano, a pinch of ground cinnamon, and some smoked paprika. All the amounts and instructions will be down below in the description, as per our usual arrangement. Go ahead and stir those spices in there, wake them up in that nice lamb and beef fat, and then make yourself a little hole in the middle and go down with a couple tablespoons of tomato paste. Kind of fry that off for a minute or 2. And then we'll go ahead and stir it all in, get it nice and well combined with our meat. Next up, we're going to deglaze with about ½ cup of red wine. If you are averse to using any alcohol in your cooking, you could just use all beef stock, which we're about to add here in just a moment, but the wine does give it a nice acidity. And I'm all out of beef stock, so I'm using a little bit of beef base, adding in a teaspoon of that along with 1 cup of water. As always, just use what you got around the house. Don't feel like you got to follow a recipe exactly to the T every single time. Have a little flexibility. Promise you your food's going to taste just fine as long as you taste it along the way for seasoning. That was 1 14-ounce can of crushed tomatoes that I just put in there, and then we're going to let this simmer out on low heat for about 15 to 20 minutes until it is reduced by about half, just like that. Alright, next up, our eggplant has sweated out a lot of moisture, so we want to get that off of there. Press down with a clean towel or a few paper towels, get all that moisture up, and then we're going to drizzle over 2 or 3 tablespoons of olive oil. You can drizzle this on or brush it on. Obviously eggplant is kind of like a sponge, so it's going to soak it all up. And then just bake that at 425 for about 15 minutes or until it is softened and golden brown, just like that. The last component of this dish is a nice bechamel sauce, so 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter go into a skillet over medium-low heat, followed by 5 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And then just stir all that to combine, get all of that flour absorbed and combined with that butter until there is no raw flour left in the skillet. To this, we will add 2½ cups of preferably whole milk. Once you go in with that, might want to crank the heat up to medium and stir and whisk very vigorously. Try and keep any lumps out of our sauce here. Should get very nice and thick once it does come up to a simmer. At that point, you can kill the heat and grate in about 1/4 cup of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. Add in some grated nutmeg, freshly grated would be ideal. And at this point, kill that heat completely, get it off the heat, and allow it to cool for a few minutes before whisking 1 egg and adding that to your bechamel sauce. Once you add it in, you want to whisk very, very quickly so that egg does not cook before it is thoroughly combined into that bechamel. Once that's done, we have all of our components ready. We can build our moussaka. So optionally, I'm going down with a little olive oil to make sure nothing sticks, and then lay in that eggplant, shingle it or lay it in a single layer, whatever works. This is a 13x9 baking dish I've got here, and mine fit just about perfectly. Our second layer will be that wonderful meat sauce. Just dump it all in and spread it out as best you can. And finally, right on top, we will spread that bechamel sauce, which once it cools for about 10 minutes will get nice and luscious and thick and just be the perfect consistency to spread on that top layer. Once you've got it into a nice even layer, we're going to go down with a little bit more Parmesan cheese to help us form a nice little gratin or crust on there in the oven. That oven, by the way, crank that to 400 and pop that in for about 25 to 30 minutes or until it is golden brown, bubbly, and delectable looking. Look at those beautiful blistered, slightly charred bits of cheese on top. You know that's going to be good. Now, you do have to let this rest for about 25 to 30 minutes, just like with a lasagna or any large casserole, because it's just too doggone hot to eat right away, and it'll just fall apart if you try and cut a slice. But after about 30 minutes, I was able to get a nice, beautiful slice there with a really nice cross-section, hit it with a little bit of chives for green color, and let's check this out. You know that filling is extremely savory. That nice base of eggplant just adds a nice earthiness and richness to everything. And man, that cheese sauce, that golden brown top, it's just luscious and creamy and deeply savory. I highly recommend you give this a try. Takes a little bit of time to bring together, but you can feed a family with it, and it tastes dynamite. Hey, as usual around here at Dishing Out, we're going to take a couple weeks off here in the month of June, let our creative juices run wild, and we'll be back before Independence Day with all new dishes and 5 and 25s for you. So until then, go make lots of things delicious.